If you're planning a trip to Guam and want to learn some local phrases that might be great to use while you're there, then I'm glad you're here because in this video we'll be sharing some fun Chamorro words and phrases that any newcomer to Guam can learn. Hi guys, I'm Danielle, or Danny for short, and for today's video I'm going to be sharing some easy local words and phrases that you might hear during your time on Guam. If you haven't seen my first video with more basic Chamorro words as well as a brief history about the language, then I'll leave a link to that video in the description below. It's kind of perfect too because March is Chamorro month, so Viva Miss Chamorro, and let's get into it. So we're going to talk about two different versions of hot. Hot relating to food as in spicy, and hot as in like hot temperatures. To refer to spicy food hot, you would say Pika. And Guam is definitely known for having a lot of Pika in their cuisine, mostly from like buni peppers. And don't worry, it's not like outrageously crazy or anything, but it's just more so, it just gives that nice kick to it. It's a very distinct type of spice. To say hot as in like, oh my goodness, it's hot, like hotter temperatures or hot weather, you would say Maipe. And this is something that is definitely frequently heard on Guam because Guam is a tropical island. You are bound to get very humid temperatures there. So you will likely hear Maipe a lot. And if you wanted to know how to say cold in Chamorro, even though you probably might not use it very often as far as temperature goes, but to say cold, you would say Maneñgheng. 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 I still have a hard time pronouncing it because there's like a roll in like that NG part of the word. Maneñgheng. 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 Just roll it and I think you'll be fine. If you are hanging around a lot of locals, you will likely hear Prim and Par get thrown around as far as addressing each other. And these are actually shorter versions of their words. So Prim is short for Primo or Prima. And that means cousin. So it's like calling, like, hey cuz, so you'll hear like, hey Prim, And then Par is actually short for Pari, which means friend. This one you will definitely hear a lot, hey Par, like, hey Par, come over here, I don't know why I always start my, like, addressing somebody with a. Like, I think maybe that's just natural for me. I feel like I hear it a lot too, though, but yeah. Hey Prim, hey Par, like, you'll hear that a lot. Prim and Par is just kind of like, terms of addressing each other. So if you're new to the island or fairly new to the island and then somebody ends up calling you Par, I would definitely take it as a compliment because that means they consider you their friend. To ask how much, you would say Kuanto. This would probably be very helpful for tourists or, especially if you were just, doing a lot more shopping during your time on Guam when you go to like the flea markets or, again, it's not like if you don't say Kuanto, like nobody's gonna understand you. Guam, a lot of people speak English on Guam. I'd say like 90% of the island speaks English. But it's one of those things that you could throw out there if you wanted to just show a little bit of appreciation for the language. By the way, if you were interested in learning the Chamorro language more in depth, then you can definitely check out my cousin Leah's website, VLT Tutorial, where she actually teaches the Chamorro language. So I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. If you watched my first video, then you'll know how a lot of the Chamorro language stems from Spanish influence. So counting, numbers 1 to 10, it's pretty similar. I want to say it's almost identical. But counting, 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 through 10. It's pretty, pretty close to the original Spanish language. But my cousin Leah had also informed me, I'd say educated me, that, prior to that, the Chamorros had their own original language. And so they've actually kind of been reinforcing that to learn the Chamorro numbers. Hatsa, Hugua, Tulu, Fatfat, Lima, Gunum, Fiti, Gualu, Sigua, Manut. I just think it's nice to acknowledge that and appreciate both languages. Saying something is like crazy or somebody is being silly, you will hear the word Kaduka or Kaduku. Kaduka refers to a female, Kaduku refers to a male. I used to get this a lot, mostly because I was just a very animated child, and so a lot of my aunties would always say like, Ay, Kaduka. Ay, Kaduka. So I just thought that was a fun one to add in there. Adai. The only way I can really describe this phrase is that it's almost like somebody saying like, oh my gosh, or oh my goodness. But I notice I say it a lot, especially with my daughter, like when she's being, just if she's having a tantrum or if she's just being like crazy, just being so active and everything. And it's almost like an exasperated feeling, like, like a sigh, but in this case, it's like, Adai. So yeah, if you hear somebody say that, before they start their sentence, it's likely because they're gonna tell you, like a bit of like a stressful story or just something that has been a little bit more like exhausting, I guess. But you'll hear them like, Adai, you know what happened? Kind of like, oh my gosh, guess what happened? So that's kind of like what that means. Last but not least, Guaiya Hao, which means I love you. Like, why not learn, something sweet like that? I love you, Guaiya Hao. And if you've seen that, the Y in Guaiya is pronounced kind of like a Z sound, like Z. So not Guaiya Hao, but Guaiya Hao. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then please give it a like. Also, feel free to leave a comment below if there are any other words that you'd like to learn in Chamorro. And of course, check out the rest of my channel for more on the beauty of Guam. Guaiya Hao! Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Adios!